Hey guys, I just want to tell a quick story. I was in a park the other day, and it was a nice day, sunny weather, everything. And I walked up to, I was sitting on the park bench, and basically this girl walks up. I noticed her earlier, so she walks up, and she's starting to walk by, and I stop her and I say, "Hey, excuse me," blah blah blah, and I'm like, start talking to her, and I was like, "Yeah, you looked interesting," blah blah blah, and she gave me her number. It didn't go anywhere. It wasn't a good it wasn't a good chemistry or anything, but didn't go anywhere. But basically, I got her number, and right next to me was sitting this like 85-year-old man, like legit. He was like full white hair, saggy skin, looked like he had a hunchback, looked tired, all the things that he was wearing old people shoes. He had a walker, and he was sitting next to me. He was like, "How do you?" He's like, "Did you know that girl?" I was like, "No, I just met her." And he's like, let me ask you something." I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Who?" He was like, "Who did you apprentice under?" And I was like, what do you mean?" He was like, "Who did you learn how to talk to women from?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't really learn it. I just kind of do it naturally." And then he's like, "Okay, I see." And then he's like, look at me very he's like paying attention very much, as if he like, it was just weird. He was paying a very hard attention. We started getting into a conversation. He said, "You did a good job. That was really smooth." I was like, "Oh, thanks." Then he said, next time, he was like, you know, it's a better line. What you should use when you stop a girl, say, "Hey," stop her and say, "Hey, you look like a person who loves life." And he was like, she can't say no to that. So it's a great line. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, it sounds like a decent line." And then he's like, he's sitting there, and I was like, "So you seem like a very mature individual. What is your advice on women and dating to a younger guy?" Then he's like, "There's four pieces of advice I would give you." And he was like, "Number one, you got to recognize that you are the prize. It's mindset. You got to realize that you are the prize." And then he said, "Number two, whenever you talk to a girl, you got to make sure you're focusing on your feet." And he says being grounded. So focus on your feet. Number three, what did he say? What was the third thing he said? I don't remember the other stuff he said. He was just saying a bunch of random, like, I guess, red pill type stuff. But it was, then he starts going off. He starts giving me names of like, like famous pickup artists, man. This 85-year-old guy was giving me names of like young famous pickup artists that he was taking them seriously too. He was like, "Right now I'm a student of RSD," and he's like, that when the thing is, I was like, I don't really. He was asking me like, "Who do you study under?" He asked me again because he really didn't believe me the first time when I said I don't study under anyone for this stuff. And then he's like, then he's like, "Well, I'll tell you something. Your teacher will come along when the time is right." He's like telling me like, he was like, "Have you heard of Adam Lyons?" I was like, "Oh, Adam Lyons. Yeah, I do remember that name. He's a pickup artist guy." And he was like, his approach is very healthy. It's very authentic. It's blah, blah, blah. He was telling me good things about Adam Lyons. And then he was telling me, like, RSD is more theatrical. And he's like, "I'm more in a phase of my life where I'm going into, like, theatrical pickups." I was like, "Oh." And at all this time, just picture an old man with a walker. This 85-year-old guy with a walker, full white hair, has a hunchback, and he's telling me all this stuff. It was insane. I don't know what to make of that. And then he started asking me, what do I say to women? What do I do? Because he wanted to know, because he noticed, I'm more successful than him, so there must be something I'm doing that he has to learn about, that he can do. And I was like, oh, well, I basically told him, he asked me what's my perspective on it. What do I do? I said something like, I told him, yeah, I was like, I think one of the most disregarded aspects in society, in when you talk about women and the relationship between men and women, is the impact that genetics and genetic expression has on your social interactions. I told him, I think that, and while I'm saying this, I was pretty much telling him that like how you look matters, and I was trying to be careful because I knew he's old and it might really hit his ego or something. But as I'm saying this, his face, like, oh man, his mouth went down, and he looked at me as if I'm saying something really offensive. He was looking at me like, oh, you got it completely wrong. Like he had like dropped his jaw. He looked at me like with his mouth in an O shape, as if I said something very offensive. His eyebrows squinted. It was funny. And basically told him, yeah, like I think that people, he was asking me what I did, and I really didn't do anything when I was talking to that girl. It was very banal stuff. I had no idea. I pretty much just said, I would like to see you again. I think you're interesting, pretty much that's all I said. And he was looking at me as if I did some sort of like psychological, manipulation tactic that, and he really wanted to learn about it. He that's what he was thinking. And so he was trying to ask me like what I did, and he was trying to understand. And I pretty much told him that there was nothing I did. I pretty much just walked up. I was looking okay. So she was somewhat attracted to me. So she gave me her number. That's pretty much what happened. If I was a hunchback of Notre Dame who's 5'2" with a cane, and I walk up to her and do the same thing, she's not going to give me her number, most likely, or she might give it out of pity and then never talk to me again. But basically, that's what happened. And yeah, it's just amazing. An 85-year-old man who follows like the pickup artist, who's actually believing in this bullshit, and it just speaks to the fact that how hard men are willing to cope, and how hard they're willing to cope, or how inaccurate their thinking is, and how uninformed they are. So I think the black pill is pretty damn important. I think it really needs to help men wake up. Guys are completely unaware. Most guys are completely in the shadow about how women actually function and how they actually choose men. They're very, very unaware of it. I think black pill is the closest thing we have to a accurate assessment of reality. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.